Hello, I'm Mr. Kaz, and I'm creating this video for you to give you a little bit of information about this really neat web tool called Rewordify. What's great about it is, number one, it's free. Doesn't require any kind of download of apps or anything. As long as you have internet access, you can use this tool. There's no ads on the site. It was created basically for students. So it's a wonderful free resource for anyone who works with difficult documents or texts. And I know that this year we're going to be focusing a lot more on difficult texts, so I felt that this was a great tool to introduce to you. So let's get started. So you can see the website is called Rewordify.com, and all you have to do is type that in the browser and you're there. So for the purposes of this video, I've chosen a document already. I've pre-selected the Gettysburg Address, which is somewhat of a difficult document for any student, or any adult even. So what I did was I copied this text from this Avalon project at Yale Law School, which is a great place for primary source documents. We go back to Rewordify, and you can see this text box is very similar to a Google Translate, where you're just going to copy and paste it right in there. And you can see this is the original, and we're going to Rewordify. It's as simple as clicking a button. And see how quick it was. So as you can see, a lot of the vocabulary words, a lot of the more difficult words were highlighted and changed out. So instead of 80 and 7 years ago, we have 80 and 7 years ago. So this is a way for teachers to modify documents. And before you start thinking, yeah, this is just going to water down the documents or texts or making them easier, we have quite a selection of settings that we can choose what level of reading that the students can achieve and where they might need some help. So I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So on this default setting, you can see, like I said, we've changed 80 to 80, and it has a question mark over it. When you hover over it, you can see it says 80. If you were to click on that, you're going to get the original and you're going to get the modified word. You can also use the audio button to hear how a word sounds.
80.
So that's great for people learning new words, new vocabulary, learning how to say it right. So let's get to the settings. This is where all the fun is. So the original default mode is reword hard words, and you click to and tap or tap to see the original word. That's the one I just showed you. Another option is don't reword words, but click to see the definitions. So let's save and close on that. And you see now we have the original document, however, they're highlighted. So if you want to see the modified words, you would have to click on that. And this is great for anyone. The first two are great for anyone who's using a computer. So if you're in a lab or if you have laptops, great. There's also a way to print the modified version too, which I'm going to show you. And the next option is display hard word and easier word in line. So you're going to have one right after the other so they can compare and contrast. See, okay, that word means this word. So the synonyms will be right next to them. And you can see what it looks like up here at the sample output. You're going to have a yellow and you're going to have a purple highlight. So now the original is the yellow and the modified is in purple, and it's also in brackets. This is another great way to just show side by side the more difficult vocabulary with the synonyms. Another one that I really enjoy is 2 columns. And you can see what that looks like on the top right. And here's what our document looks like now. So you have the original document on the left with all the same highlights. And on the right, you have the Rewordify document with the modifications. Once again, this is a great way to compare a document side by side with the more difficult version on the left and the more understandable version on the right. Let's see how this looks. If you were to click on consecrated, which is a pretty difficult word, you get the word blessed. And on the right, you could see it's already been done. Let's see our final setting. Now this display original with vocabulary column, it's almost like a word bank you're going to see to the side. And you can see what that looks like. That's a preview. And so we have the original document on the left, and we have our word box on the right with all the more difficult vocabulary terms. Okay, so when we talk about scaffolding, we want to make challenging texts, we don't want to make them impossible for students to read because a lot of them will shut off. But the whole point of scaffolding is building them up a little bit at a time. So you can see I had it set on easiest. So you're going to have 19 words in the Gettysburg Address that were considered difficult vocabulary, and that's also the default. You can see here at level 2, you're only going to have 8 words. So see how that changed from this list, got a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more challenging now. You can see the words consecrated, hallow, detract, nobly. These are all a little bit more difficult. So they took out some of the mid-level vocabulary words and they left in the more difficult ones. And you can see it goes all the way up to hardest, which would be 5 words. And that's what that looks like. Now, as far as I know, Rewordify doesn't take your document to the Lexile level of a specific student, but you can see you have a pretty lot of options. You have about 6 options here of how difficult you want to make it. And finally, the highlighting mode down here, that's really just for looks. You could choose if you want the words underlined. You could choose if you want them instead of yellow and purple, you'll have green and red. That's just mostly for show, but if you like those colors, use them. Now, let's see what we can do with these learning activities. So right here, you saw on the bar, I went to print learning activities. So the Rewordify text here, the one that it's set on, is using your current display settings. So if you want to do 2 different levels, maybe one on easy, one on medium, or one on medium and one on difficult, you can print those out. Once you Rewordify the text, you press print and you can see right now we're in the difficult version. As you can see, there's only 5 words that are highlighted. And if you wanted to change that, you would change the settings. And you could print this. So, vocabulary list with definitions. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see here, the difficult word on the left, the replacement on the right. And these are just really easy to print out. Students can take a look at them, study them, and there's options for scaffolding with these as well. Now you have a vocabulary list without definitions. So you have the difficult word on the left, and they would fill it in on the right. Let's go to the word bank quiz. So it creates a quiz from the difficult words. And this is a great way to help your students with vocabulary. We're trying to get them to think critically, but if they don't understand the text, it's really difficult to get to that level of critical thinking. And we have here matching sheet. So you're going to match the word on the left with the definition on the right. Plenty of options. There's a standard quiz. You can see here it's 5 questions where they're going to pick the right selection. These can be great for activators at the beginning of a class to go over something. We have a more difficult quiz, which you can see here. I'm assuming the answers are a little bit more varied or difficult. And the close activity. I love this one. So this is almost like guided notes. They're going to fill in the blanks. And you can see this is the more difficult document. You only have 5 blanks. But if you were to choose, say, a more intermediate setting, you're going to have more blanks. And we're going to go down to a test with vocabulary. And you can see here that it's almost similar to the one that we had before with Fourscore is highlighted, Consecrate is highlighted as well. Okay, so those are all the things you can do with it. It's a wonderful tool. You can check out stats here to see in the easiest level there's 19 words. The word count, the average sentence length, the read score, I'm not sure if that's similar to Lexile, but it could be. So overall, this is a really great and free tool that you can use to practice vocabulary, to practice advanced language skills, and to scaffold for all your students. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll give you any kind of advice or tips that you would like. And good luck.